The entire hip-hop landscape just suffered a fatal, catastrophic earthquake after Drake went live on a broadcast and played a top-secret, deeply humiliating private audio recording of Rick Ross desperately begging 50 Cent to stop trolling him on the internet. In what is already being called the most savage, unforgivable cultural execution of the modern era, the Six God exposed the Maybach Music Group founder in a state of absolute broken emotional ruin. Hearing the self-proclaimed biggest boss crying out in a trembling voice, pleading with Curtis Jackson to show mercy and stop destroying his album sales and brand deals has completely paralyzed millions of fans across the globe. The invincible armor of luxury rap has been shredded to pieces live on camera, leaving the entire MMG enterprise in a state of chaotic emergency. Stay locked in until the final second of this video because the incoming retaliation, the secret industry backdoor conversations, and the leaked studio footage prove that this multi-million-dollar war has just crossed the point of no return. To fully understand why this devastating audio leak has triggered an emergency across executive boardrooms and urban radio stations alike, you have to rewind through more than a decade of fractured alliances, corporate power plays, and bitter personal animosity that built this toxic love triangle. For over 10 years, the collaborative relationship between Drake and Rick Ross was considered one of the most lucrative and culturally significant partnerships in modern music history. Together they built an untouchable sonic aesthetic rooted in lavish excess, opulent lifestyles, and smooth, effortless prestige. Iconic records like Aston Martin Music, Stay Shemin', Lord Knows, and Gold Roses weren't just commercial radio smashes. They served as the definitive soundtrack for an era where luxury rap reigned supreme. Fans viewed their bond as unshakable, a brotherhood sealed in private jet cabins, million-dollar champagne toasts, and an unspoken agreement to dominate the upper echelon of the music industry together. However, behind the glittering veneer of custom designer wardrobes and multi-million-dollar real estate tours, dark fractures quietly began to spread beneath the surface. As Drake's commercial dominance skyrocketed to unprecedented global heights, breaking streaming records that left every other peer in the dust, subtle shifts in industry dynamics began to breed deep-seated resentment. When long-brewing tensions throughout the rap world finally erupted into all-out warfare, alliances rapidly splintered. In a shocking move that stunned longtime listeners, Rick Ross unexpectedly broke ranks, severing his 12-year brotherhood with Drake and launching aggressive public jabs, mocking diss lines, and constant social media ridicule aimed directly at the Canadian superstar. Enter Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, the undisputed king of psychological warfare and internet trolling in hip-hop history. For nearly 15 years, 50 Cent had waged an unrelenting venomous vendetta against Rick Ross, dating back to their infamous 2009 collision. While other rap rivalries eventually cooled down or faded with time, 50 Cent turned his mockery of Rick Ross into an art form. Whenever Ross released a new album, announced a commercial venture, or showcased his lavish Georgia estate, 50 Cent was right there in the comment sections, dropping relentless memes, mocking ticket sales, questioning Ross' past, and chipping away at the biggest boss image day after day. To the public, Rick Ross always maintained a calm, completely unbothered exterior. He smiled through interviews, waved his signature cigars on Instagram Live, and insisted that 50 Cent's non-stop attacks were nothing more than free promotion from an obsessed hater. Ross built his entire brand identity on being an untouchable mogul who answered to nobody and feared nothing. What the public didn't see, however, was the immense financial and emotional toll 50 Cent's unrelenting trolling campaign was actually taking behind closed doors. Highly corporate sponsors, beverage distribution partners, and international franchise investors reportedly grew nervous over the constant public ridicule, quietly reducing advertising budgets and rethinking multi-million-dollar promotional deals with Ross Camp. The invincible boss armor was secretly cracking under the weight of sustained corporate pressure. And that is when the unthinkable happened. Behind closed doors, Drake and 50 Cent, two of the most powerful and ruthless figures in the game, quietly aligned their massive resources. Drake wasn't interested in simply trading radio diocese back and forth with Ross. He wanted total devastating cultural checkmate. Leveraging private corporate channels, Drake obtained the ultimate weapon, a private recorded telephone interaction that proved Rick Ross' entire untouchable public persona was nothing more than a carefully crafted illusion. Drake held onto the confidential audio file, waiting for the perfect high-visibility moment to pull the trigger and expose the shocking reality to millions of fans around the world. The explosion detonated at precisely 1:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time when Drake abruptly launched an unscheduled, unannounced live broadcast directly from a private studio room inside his Toronto compound. The visual presentation alone sent an immediate chill down the spines of the viewers. Drake sat casually in a custom high-back leather chair surrounded by low ambient neon lighting holding a crystal glass of vintage champagne. He wore an icy calculated smirk on his face. Within less than 90 seconds of the notification going live, over 450,000 people flooded into the broadcast, completely overwhelming the server chat. Drake didn't start with loud insults, theatrical rants, or energetic shouting. Instead, he maintained complete, suffocating silence for nearly a minute, letting the anticipation build to an unbearable level. Looking directly into the camera lens with cold indifference, Drake tapped the screen of his phone, connected it via Bluetooth to the massive studio monitors behind him, and said 5 words that instantly froze the hip-hop world in place. "Turn the volume all the way up." What followed next was a moment of pure, jaw-dropping humiliation that no one in modern music history was prepared for. A distinct, unmistakable, deep baritone voice echoed through the high-definition studio speakers. It was William Roberts, famously known around the world as Rick Ross. But this wasn't a confident, booming voice that fans had heard on classic anthems for 2 decades. The voice coming through the audio was frantic, broken, trembling with anxiety, and pleading with unmistakable desperation on what sounded like a private, confidential phone call. "Curtis, please, man. You got to ease up on these posts, bro. I'm being completely real with you behind closed doors. The sponsors are blowing up my management's bones every single morning. Luke Belair, the Wing franchise partners, the festival organizers, they're pulling back at dollars and holding up payments because of these skits, these memes, and these sales numbers you keep putting on blast. You won, man, you proved your point to the whole world. Just let me breathe. Let me put this rollout together and call the dogs off. I'm asking you peer-to-peer, brother. Please stop clowning me on the timeline." Hearing the self-proclaimed biggest boss, the man whose entire identity was built on absolute invincibility, limitless wealth, and unshakable pride, literally begging 50 Cent for mercy, sent the live stream into an absolute frenzy of shock. The raw pain and sheer stress in Ross' voice were undeniable. The heavy pauses, the frantic breathing, and the direct references to lost corporate revenue completely destroyed the illusion of the untouchable Miami mogul. Drake paused the audio, looked directly into the camera with an icy grin, and spoke in a low, chilling whisper. "The biggest boss, more like the biggest actor in the industry. Keep my name out of your mouth on these interviews, William." Before I pressed play on the rest of this file. With that final cold warning, the live stream abruptly went pitch black, leaving nearly 500,000 viewers staring at frozen screens in sheer, paralyzing disbelief. The digital world instantly erupted into total unhinged anarchy. Within minutes, screen recordings of the audio leak were ripped, converted, and uploaded across every major social media platform. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube were inundated with millions of posts, reaction videos, and emergency live discussions dissecting every single syllable of the phone call. Fans couldn't believe their ears. The man who once claimed he feared nothing on earth had seemingly been caught on tape traveling to his mortal enemy behind closed doors. Then came the first shocking twist that transformed this viral humiliation into an active corporate disaster. Within 40 minutes of Drake's stream cutting off, high-resolution screenshots of an encrypted text exchange allegedly between 50 Cent and Drake were leaked across private Discord servers and viral hip-hop forums. The leaked messages revealed that this wasn't a sudden, impulsive leak. It was a meticulously planned, coordinated strike executed between 2 of the most ruthless strategists in the music business. The leaked text thread showed 50 Cent personally sending the confidential voice recording to Drake weeks prior, strategizing the exact date and time to drop it for maximum public destruction. One of the verified leaked messages from 50 Cent allegedly read, "Let him keep flexing on Instagram for the cameras." The second he drops his next interview, talking tough. Hit him with a tape and bury that boss persona once and for all. Let's see him explain this to his investors. The visual proof that Drake and 50 Cent had formed a united front to orchestrate Rick Ross' complete downfall sent shock waves through executive boardrooms. Rick Ross wasn't just facing standard rap competition. He had unwittingly walked straight into a two-front billionaire ambush designed to permanently dismantle his career, his brand, and his legacy. As the leaked audio spread like wildfire across X, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, Rick Ross found himself backed into the most dangerous, career-threatening corner of his entire 2-decade career. Within less than 2 hours of Drake's stream cutting out, hashtags like Rick Ross begging, Drake exposes Ross, and Boss Down surged to the absolute top of global trending charts, accumulating over 50 million impressions overnight. Hip-hop commentary channels, urban gossip blogs, and major music podcasts dropped emergency late-night reaction streams, dissecting every frantic breath, every cracked syllable, and every desperate plea uttered in that confidential phone call. For millions of fans worldwide who grew up worshipping the unbothered, cigar-smoking, bulletproof image of the biggest boss, hearing William Roberts pleading for financial mercy was like watching an empire crumble to ash in real time. At precisely 400 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Rick Ross launched an emergency panic-stricken Instagram live broadcast from inside the passenger seat of an all-black luxury SUV speeding through the streets of Miami. The atmosphere of the broadcast was thick with chaotic, volatile energy. Ross appeared visibly shaken, sweat glistening across his face under the dim dashboard lights, his voice trembling with a mixture of raw fury, deep embarrassment, and unmistakable desperation. Leaning aggressively into his smartphone screen, Ross unleashed a furious, non-stop tirade in a desperate bid to salvage his shattered reputation. "Turn this garbage off. Don't listen to these clowns. That audio is deep-fake artificial intelligence trash. Drake is terrified of the real pressure in the streets. So, he went and paid a bunch of Silicon Valley computer nerds to synthesize my voice. Curtis knows damn well I never picked up a phone and begged him for a single thing. This is a manufactured corporate smear campaign designed to distract everybody from Drake's own losses. I built Maybach Music Group from the dirt. I am the biggest boss in this game and no computer-generated voice clip is ever going to change that. Don't fall for this internet matrix." Despite Ross' aggressive shouting, the online community refused to buy the cover-up. Viewers watching the broadcast immediately noticed alarming details that gave away his panic. His hands visibly shook as he held the phone. His eyes darted nervously out the window as if expecting immediate real-world fallout, and several high-ranking members of his inner circle could be overheard in the background having heated, frantic phone conversations with corporate attorneys and distribution heads. Ross was trying to project supreme invincibility, but the visual evidence screamed damage control. Then came the second explosive reveal that completely obliterated Rick Ross' defense and turned this viral humiliation into an all-out corporate apocalypse. At 6:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, a renowned independent digital audio forensics engineer and music technology expert published a comprehensive 20-page technical analysis of the leaked audio across major industry forums and social platforms. Using advanced spectral frequency analysis, background room resonance mapping, and acoustic waveform matching, the expert confirmed that the audio file was 99.8% authentic and completely unaltered. The file contained the unique hardware compression signature of a direct cellular line, complete with ambient room acoustics matching Rick Ross' private Miami studio office, officially ruling out any possibility of artificial intelligence generation or voice cloning. The forensic confirmation sent shock waves through the highest levels of the corporate entertainment industry. Within minutes of the report hitting the wire, high-ranking music executives and distribution partners began calling emergency crisis meetings. Reports surfaced that two multi-million-dollar lifestyle and beverage brands currently partnered with Maybach Music Group were quietly preparing legal notices to suspend their promotional campaigns, citing reputational damage and brand devaluation. To make matters infinitely more devastating, 50 Cent jumped right back into the fray with ruthless, predatory precision. Taking to his Instagram page, 50 Cent posted a video of himself sitting inside his private fitness suite, wearing oversized headphones, sipping his trademark champagne, and singing along to Drake's greatest hits while laughing maniacally into the camera. "I told y'all he was crying behind the scenes. I told y'all the boss was calling my phone begging. Real bosses don't beg another man to save their brand deals." Drake hit the button and dropped the bomb. The comedy show is just getting started. William Part 2 drops tonight. Rick Ross' empire was officially in free fall, trapped between 50 Cent's merciless mockery and Drake's lethal receipts, with every single corporate ally looking for the nearest exit door. The digital earthquake triggered by Drake leaking the confidential audio recording of Rick Ross pleading with 50 Cent completely fractured the global entertainment landscape into violent-wearing factions within minutes. By sunrise, social media platforms like X, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube were completely suffocated by over 100 million impressions, emergency live stream breakdowns, and vicious internet debates that paralyzed corporate offices and recording studios alike. On one side of the digital battlefield, an unstoppable wave of viral commentators, meme creators, and hip-hop purists treated the audio leak as the absolute definitive execution of Rick Ross' career. For this massive faction, hearing the self-proclaimed biggest boss sounding broken and desperate behind closed doors shattered 20 years of projected invincibility at Rap Culture Vulture _2026. Hearing Rick Ross literally beg 50 Cent to call off his internet trolls because beverage sponsors were cutting his checks is the most humiliating moment in hip-hop history. You can never rap about being a luxury cartel kingpin again after this. The Boss Act is permanently cancelled at the OVO_Vault_IVE. Drake didn't even need to drop a diss track this time. He just connected his phone to the studio speakers, played 30 seconds of raw audio, and ended a 20-year rivalry instantly. 50 Cent and Drake teaming up to orchestrate this takedown is diabolical genius at the highest level. At Urban Music Analyst, Ross built an entire empire on being unbothered, wealthy, and bulletproof. To hear him sound that panicked over internet memes proves 50 Cent was living inside his head entry for a decade and a half. The MMG brand value just dropped to absolute zero overnight. Conversely, an impassioned, vocal faction of Southern hip-hop traditionalists, loyal MMG supporters, and privacy advocates rushed to defend Rick Ross, arguing that weaponizing a confidential phone call crossed an unwritten ethical boundary in the industry. At Miami Street Veterans _305, Drake leaking private phone calls like a desperate high schooler is the softest move in modern rap. Ross reached out like a businessman trying to handle corporate matters behind closed doors, and Drake weaponized it for internet clicks. Real street legends don't record and leak private conversations to Southern rap historians. Regardless of a leaked phone call, Rick Ross built a legendary catalog of timeless music with his own bare hands. Watching corporate giants and internet trolls conspire to destroy an independent black label owner isn't a victory for culture. It's dirty, predatory business at its absolute worst at real estate equity _now. Since when did leaking phone calls become cool? Drake is hiding behind 50 Cent because he couldn't win a fair rap battle on the charts, so they had to resort to digital espionage. It's lame, and true fans see right through the setup. The shock wave quickly leaped past digital screens and exploded straight into mainstream broadcasting networks. On major morning radio powerhouses like The Breakfast Club and Hot 97, hosts held high-voltage emergency call-in segments that rapidly deteriorated into chaotic shouting matches between listeners from New York, Atlanta, and Miami. Prominent entertainment attorneys and crisis public relations experts were brought on air to analyze the catastrophic legal and financial fallout, warning that Maybach Music Group's ongoing corporate partnerships, spirit endorsements, and distribution contracts were facing immediate irreversible termination. Behind the scenes, the panic within Florida's music ecosystem reached a fever pitch. Insiders reported that high booking agents, festival organizers, and regional club promoters quietly began reviewing upcoming summer concert contracts, with several major venues hesitating to wire advance deposits for scheduled Rick Ross appearances until the brand fallout could be properly assessed. Meanwhile, 50 Cent poured gallons of high-octane fuel onto the roaring inferno. Taking to his social media pages once again, 50 Cent posted a mock corporate restructuring chart depicting himself as the newly appointed CEO of Maybach Music Group, complete with a fake inventory liquidation sale for luxury cars and champagne bottles. The entire entertainment world was completely paralyzed by the spectacle, torn between uncontrollable laughter at the sheer level of disrespect and stunned disbelief at how quickly an untouchable empire could be brought to its knees by a single leaked audio file. Just when the world believed the situation had reached its absolute peak of disrespect and devastation, a final mind-bending twist surfaced from behind locked studio doors that threatens to escalate this billionaire war into an all-out scorched earth catastrophe. At 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, an anonymous audio technician inside a high-security recording compound in South Beach leaked an explosive 45-second video clip that sent pure panic ripping through the entire hip-hop industry. The leaked studio footage showed Rick Ross standing inside a soundproof vocal booth flanked by heavy security and several elite Southern rap veterans recording what is already being described as the most vicious, unhinged, and personal retaliation DST track ever conceived in modern rap history. In the Ross studio audio, Ross can be heard screaming aggressively into the microphone, directly calling out Drake's private offshore financial accounts, secret corporate ghostwriting agreements, and confidential NDA settlements. Waving a thick stack of printed financial dossiers at the camera, Ross delivered a chilling, venomous warning that left the entire room dead silent. "You leaked a 30-second phone call trying to play with my livelihood. Now I'm dropping the real bank wire receipts, the shell companies, and the confidential settlements you paid to keep your name clean in Toronto. You want to play billionaire games with 50 Cent? I'm about to burn the whole industry down with us." The visual proof that Rick Ross is not backing down into obscurity, but is instead preparing to unleash a full-scale corporate exposure targeting Drake's multi-million-dollar empire, instantly set off emergency sirens across executive boardrooms from New York to Los Angeles. However, before the culture could even process Ross' terrifying studio leak, Drake's inner circle delivered an even bigger, far more dangerous counter-strike online that brought the entire dispute to an absolute boiling point. Taking to his private Instagram broadcast at 8:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Drake posted a high-resolution, unreleased image of an encrypted digital hard drive labeled with an ominous title, the full 12-minute master recording. Underneath the file preview, Drake attached a live 24-hour digital countdown timer accompanied by a cold, devastating caption. "You dropped that record, William, and the full 12-minute tape drops on every streaming platform on Earth. Let the world hear you crying about your car payments, your label debts, and what you really said about your own artists behind closed doors. Don't press that button." Read that again. The 30-second clip that broke the internet last night was merely a tiny preview. The full 12-minute unedited recording allegedly contains deeply sensitive classified admissions from Rick Ross concerning massive corporate debts, behind-the-scenes betrayals of former Maybach music group sneers, and private confessions that could permanently destroy multiple careers across the music industry. The entire culture is now standing on the edge of a sheer cliff, holding its collective breath in pure shock. If Rick Ross releases his Scorched Earth diss track exposing Drake's financial empire, Drake will press the button to release the full 12-minute tape and obliterate Ross' entire legacy forever. Both titans are standing with their fingers hovering over the nuclear launch codes. And neither side is showing any sign of backing down. Will Rick Ross risk everything, ignore the countdown, and drop his devastating response track to salvage his pride? Or will the Maybach music group founder fold under the threat of the full tape leaking and surrender to Drake and 50 Cent once and for all? The digital countdown is ticking down by the second. The stakes have never been higher, and the next 24 hours will decide the fate of three of the most powerful empires in hip-hop history. This has been without a doubt the most shocking, humiliating, and historic audio leak we have ever witnessed in modern hip-hop history. Now, I want to hear directly from you. The most passionate tapped community on YouTube. Was Drake completely justified in dropping that humiliating audio of Rick Ross pleading with 50 Cent? Or did he cross an unwritten line by leaking private behind-the-scenes phone calls? Do you believe the leaked audio recording is 100% authentic? Or do you think Rick Ross is telling the truth about an AI-generated smear campaign? What do you think will happen if Drake actually follows through on his countdown and drops the full 12-minute unedited master tape? Drop your wildest theories, legal predictions, and honest thoughts in the comments section down below right now. I am going to be down in the comments replying to the best and most intense responses all day long. If your mind was completely blown by this emergency breakdown, smash that like button immediately. It helps the algorithm push this crazy story to hip-hop fans all across the globe. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell right now. We are tracking this high-stakes standoff live as it unfolds. And the second Rick Ross drops that studio retaliation or the moment Drake's countdown timer hits 0, we will be dropping an exclusive emergency follow-up video that you cannot afford to miss. Thank you for watching. Stay locked in and I will see you in the very next.